Welcome to Titan HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are at. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about, disaster economics. My name is Todd DeVoe, and I'm the emergency manager for Titan HST, Director of Emergency Management, that is. And I am also working at the post-secondary level as a teacher. And I love learning things and sharing what I've learned. And one of the areas that I think is interesting that we don't talk enough about is disaster economics. And as professionals in business continuity and emergency management for our organizations, we should be leaning forward and looking at how world economy after a disaster is going to impact what we do at our in our business. One of the things I noticed is like the other day, I bought a new car, and the prices of new vehicles have gone up, right? If you guys haven't noticed that, and it's not just inflation. What I find interesting is they have an additional charge over the sticker price, basically because they can't get new vehicles in. And I was talking to a couple dealers when I was looking for my car, and they were all saying, "Hey, look at this company that I bought the car from. They're no longer they're gonna reduce the production of vehicles coming in mid-April. Prices are probably gonna go up, and a couple of reasons why is they get parts from Russia, and they get chips from, I guess, China, and the both are going to be scarce in parts right now. So the reduction in the number of vehicles being produced is causing an increase in prices. You're also seeing the increase in prices in used cars as well due to the fact of the scarcity of them. And it sounds kind of weird because you drive down the street and you see cars in dealerships. Well, if you drive by some of the new car dealerships, you'll notice that they're actually ordering cars now. You're buying them before they're even off the assembly line. You can't order them to spec to the way you want them, but you can you enter into a contract with them to purchase that vehicle. Why am I talking about car vehicles today on Business Continuity Today? Because you're seeing the impact of this war in Ukraine on every piece of the supply chain in every part of the economy. The President Biden stood up the other day and stated that we will see an increase in food prices across the board, right? Russia and Ukraine both are major wheat producers in the world. And obviously during war, you're not seeing them produce, especially Ukraine, you're not seeing them produce wheat. So this is going to have a direct impact in the wheat prices that are out there, which impacts everything. If you take a look at your ingredients in most things, there's a few common ingredients that almost no matter what you buy has it in there. Wheat, rice, corn, sugar, those are in most produced foods. And so that means that if those prices are going to go up, those produced foods are going to go up. The other side of it too is that manufacturers and food producers, they have to lean forward and see what their prices are going to be. And so now they could proactively, and most are proactively, I should say, raising the price of food because they have to be able to buy back or purchase the food that's going to be more expensive, the raw ingredients that are going to be more expensive. So you're seeing this trickle down or trickle up, whichever way I look at it, and you're going to see it happen at the grocery stores. So their prices are going to go up. We're seeing fuel prices go up. We've already talked about that, which increases the cost of transportation of food, which then increases the price of the food to the grocers, and the grocers have to raise their prices, and everybody's going to be hit in the pocketbook. Now, food prices aren't the only thing, like I said, that are going up. It's also computer chips, it's raw materials. You have also steel prices are going up, which I find really interesting. All these things are increasing, which increases everybody's costs at the other end. So if any company is involved in manufacturing, you're going to see an increase in costs, right? So that is part of what we call disaster economics, right? If you have a crisis in one part of the world, right, how does it impact everybody else? And I really find that kind of interesting that there's been a few articles out here, um, you know, regarding this particular issue. And one of the things I find is that we were actually starting to have recovery from the COVID crisis, right? The pandemic. And the economists today are saying that this war in Europe has basically pulled the rug out from underneath that recovery, and it's pulling us back down. So, does that mean that we're headed towards another recession? I don't know, right? I am not an economist. I just read a lot on the economy and talk to people who do know what they're talking about. And it seems to be that they feel that that's a possibility that we're going to see this. You're also seeing increasing, obviously, in the fuel with that happening, that people are making a decision between going to work, right? Because they have to decide on how much fuel they can expend, or some people are actually that live further away from work are either again back work remotely, which is one thing. Of those that can't work remotely, some of them are taking vacation days off in between, so they can save on fuel. So that means you're going to have a reduction in the workforce as well. Now, I live in Southern California. We're seeing that reduction in the workforce really impacting small businesses, specifically service industry jobs or businesses, I should say. There is a Panera restaurant near my house, and it seems like every other day they're either drive-through only, they or they're closed, right? So I find that interesting as well. That now businesses have to make a decision not to perform services that they normally perform, and if it's going to use as drive-through only, which is a very by my house is a very large restaurant as far as the size of it goes, and so that's impacting that business. So I don't know what the reduction in costs are by doing that, but are they losing money with people that want to go do the dining experience? There's other restaurants around the area that are closing for dinner. They're not doing dinner services, or they're not doing breakfast services. They're only doing lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch. So again, these are decisions that businesses are making because they have to lean forward on what they have and what they have as far as employees and time for them to come in. Right. So the service industries cannot work remotely. If those employees can't make it in due to fuel prices, then it's having a direct impact on businesses. And it's not that they're not hiring, right? These businesses have for help wanted signs across the board, and so it is. So there's what is going on here, right? So that's aspect of it as well. So whether it's because people have taken time off, or they decided to do something different and they learned a different skill set while they are during the pandemic, and so those lower wage service jobs need to pay more. Maybe that's a possibility, but it's also the fact that these people that work in those positions at times can't get into the office or into the restaurant to work. So that's having those impacts as well. Now let's add that additional cost of food prices on top of that. And then what are we going to see there? Are people going to stop going out to dinner and lunch more often, and bring their money back into home, tightening the belt, if you will, worried about potential economic issues that are happening or potential recession, right? So those are these issues that we have to be thinking about. How, as a business, then, what can you do to lean forward? Well, one is really have take a look at the economic writings that are happening there. Make sure that you're reading stuff that's in, I'd say, the mainstream magazines and authors and thinkers in the sense of disaster economics. Find out what they're saying, and then really do a forecasting and planning for this downturn, right? And I think that if you plan for the downturn, you can realistically weather that storm without having too much impact on your business. Also, talk to your suppliers and see what positions that they're having, right? What issues are they having? If you are, say, having manufacturing things being done, what's happening in, say, China, or where most manufacturing is happening, China or Vietnam or Malaysia or the Philippines, in those areas, what impacts are they having on their supply chain, and what is going to be the time to get them the materials back here to the United States. Now, we also have the issue here in California with the shipping lanes being clogged, right? And so there's a backup at the port, a trucking issue that's going on as well. So there's a reduction in truck drivers at this point. So all these little things that on their own probably wouldn't really impact us in the sense of one-offs, but all of them together are really having a direct and negative impact on businesses today. John Campbell says, have you ever read or planned to see any ideas that are actually bad or detrimental? Yeah, John. Yeah, I mean, like we have seen things that are actually detrimental, right? And we've seen this happen before. If you think about the 1970s and the increase in the, with or the increase, but the OPEC issue that happened then with the gas lines, right? And you had even odd days, right? So if you take a look at your license plate, if the first or last number, I forget which way it was, I was a little kid, was even or odd, that's when you were able to get fuel, right? And so, and you could only had X amount of gallons that you could possibly buy. So you could say it's like 10 gallons or whatever, right? So there is that. So we had gas rations within my lifetime. And I know we talk about World War II and stuff, that's a whole different story. But this is relatively, just I'll be young, a few years ago, right? Okay, it was in it was like 40 years ago, but still, okay, maybe longer, but still at the time, it's still we had the gas shortages here, which really impacted everybody's life, right? And so we're seeing the impact of the war in Europe having economic impacts on everybody here in the United States, whether it's businesses and or individuals. Right. So as a business, we have to, again, one of the things we do as business continuity experts is look downrange to see what is happening around the world, right? And really creating a plan specifically for our organization and how we can weather it. John, don't out me by saying that. That's John says 50 years. Ouch. That really hurts. So anyway, so you go through those things, right? With the idea of saying, hey, can we forecast, right? Can we see what is downrange? And if you don't have somebody in your organization that has taken a look at these issues that are happening globally, you are going to be caught off guard, right? And you're going to, potentially you could, have to shut down, which would be really, tragic for you, the work that you all put into your organization. So we saw the wood prices go up during COVID, right? Extremely up, so much so that people moved from doing wood frame structures to steel frame structures. Now we're seeing the price of steel going up as well. So that means the housing costs are going to go up for new construction, right? So and then we talk about the housing crisis that we have. To put that on top of that. So again, everything that's happening today has impacted every sector of the economy, right? Every sector of the economy is having some pain points. So what can you do to project what's going on for your business? Pay attention, right? At the end of the day, you have to pay attention to the world or what is happening. We can say, oh, it's a distant land and having distant problems between two countries that you don't know much about, right? That could be true, right? But those two countries, those two nations that are at war right now, have a great impact on what is happening to your business, to your economy here in the United States. So what's happening over in the middle of Europe is also having an impact of middle America. So everybody, I want you to say, please just pay attention to what's going on. Have a plan. Take a look what's happening. Look at the writings. Read The Economist. Take a look at the economic news that's happening from either, like I said, find legitimate sources of news and information. Do your research. Take a look at what's going on and see how it's going to impact your organization. And be prepared and be ready. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to us today. And for all your communications needs, please reach out to Titan HST. We are here for you. And until next week, please stay safe and stay hydrated.